dog hair. I need a lint brush.
All right. How about Boomer? Can you hear me?
I hear you. Do they hear us?
Let's try. Let's hold on. Let's.
Do they see or hear us? These are important questions.
There it is. Holy cow!
It worked? Did it
Yeah.
work?
Apparently, Alan says bingo, so I'm gonna take that as either out of gas or he hears and sees us. No. All right. Hey guys, sorry about that. Welcome to the ready not or not so ready room tonight. Um, I have a whole laundry list of excuses I could throw out there,
The
but
ready room
uh,
down list.
yeah, it's basically I give myself a ready room down today. But hey, hello, Mover. How are you?
What's up? How's it going? Happy to be here.
Um,
Thanks for having me on your channel.
yeah, man, it's been a couple weeks since
Since
we've
you've
had
done
it.
anything. I mean, Jesus, Gonky, what are
That's
you
not
doing?
true. That's not true.
Oh, really?
I've had a couple videos. I mean, when you're married with wife and kid, and
Make
you'll
better
see
life.
one.
You need to make better life choices. That's all I'm telling you.
I know, but hey, what I wanted to talk a little bit about is the tournament that you're setting up, which is awesome, and then some of the the limitation that we're putting in this year that seems to be getting a lot of attention.
The angry people. Wow. Yeah,
Very angry.
dude. What? It's surprising because you would think that everybody would be all excited at the prospect of fighting the AI that beat a real F-16 pilot, but they're not. They're everybody's. Oh, we got G limits. I can't not pull 10 Gs in a Tomcat. Tomcat.
Right. So I mean, I just put out on my channel to
That's right.
promote
You did. You did.
the tournament, and I've even had some people ask me about, hey, what's up with the G limits? So I mean, uh, dude, when you were in the F-16, when you were in the B course or whenever you were in the CAF or no, not the CAF, you were a guard guy, right?
Cap's right. I mean, it's still Combat Air Force. I mean, it's
All
better than
right.
the
Remember
MAF.
when you were in the CAF? I mean, did you guys ever, plan on over G'ing the airplane to gain a tactical advantage?
It's really hard to over G a Viper. I've done it, not intentionally, but no. And we, I actually posted about this earlier on the Eagle Dynamics forums. Is that people don't understand that there's actually G limits for configurations. I mean, the Hornet's the same way. The Viper, you had bombs, you got 5.5 Gs. If you had, you were 6.5 Gs till tanks dry. If you had a targeting pod, you were always 7.33. If you had tanks that were empty or had 8.5 Gs, if you were clean with nothing, okay, then you're 9. If you had an ECM pod, you had G limits. No, we don't go out there like, I'm going to go out there and intentionally break the aircraft because the idea is not to have maintenance having to pull panels when you get back and downing that aircraft and, code 3 in it, and they can't use it again. They want a quick turn so it can go right back out and fight.
That's right. That's right. And then there's so basically, there's limitations with the airplane if you change the configuration, but you also touched on it. The actual weapons can have
Yeah.
limitations as well. I mean, there's several cases where I've read in Vietnam where guys over G their F8s or whatever and it break the gun. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't.
yeah.
Congratulations, you're behind him. Now what?
Well,
You take a picture.
and not only are you not sure, so there's been a couple examples where guys have brought up Tomcat guys back in the A and B models, back in the Reagan era, where it's like, I over G'd and I pulled 12 Gs and nothing happened to me. Think about what you're doing to the next guy. Would you want to go fly a jet that just over G'd by a factor of like 1.5 for what it, I,
Yeah. No, you bring up a good point. Um, but also, as far as breaking the airplane, what about what about breaking the pilot, man? I mean, I don't know about you. Oh, dude, apparently the stream is,
did it break? Did we
yeah.
break the stream too? Well, we over G'd the stream, so
How do
What's it saying? What's it complaining about?
I'm just getting the circle here. It says excellent connection, man. I don't know what.
The circle. Circle of doom? Circle of death? I'm
Dude, I
showing.
wonder if it's storms, man.
Are you sure?
Oh, we're back. Apparently, we're back. It's
Were,
working now. Don't
were,
touch nothing.
were we ever gone?
Here's the thing, guys. There's this storm rolling in on Mover and I. So I don't know
Yes,
if that's making
yes, yes, that's it. Yes,
Hurricane Sally or
Mustang
whatever,
Sally.
whatever her name is. Anyway, so yeah, dude, you might break the airplane, and more importantly, I mean, you might. I don't know about you, man, but I never like pulling AGs. That's why if you guys watch my MiG 29 fight, my Su 30 fight, there's maybe one time I pull 7.5 Gs, and that's
Yeah.
on the initial break turn. Then after that, I go into my slow speed game plan. I mean, the answer is not always park the left hand and burner and pull on the stick till the wings come off.
Yeah, and so you're right. I can count the number of times I pulled more than 7 Gs in the Hornet like on one hand, and one of them was like my very first time where I was like, "Let me see what this thing will do," and the IP's in the back going, "Why? Why are we pulling 7.5 Gs?" I'm like, "Well, I just wanted to see what it would do. I'm used to 9. This is
Yeah.
okay," but you have to fight within the limits of the EM diagram, the energy diagram that you have, and the maneuverability that is given to you. You can't. You're a test pilot if you're going out and pulling 10, 12 Gs and doing something that's not. We don't train to that. We don't train to go do things outside of the limits because, dude, let's be honest. When's the last time there's been a dogfight of any kind that was a guns only, mono e mono fight to the death? It's just not something that
Right.
happens.
But
But
I don't know, even if it happens, man. I mean, the performance numbers are the
yeah,
performance numbers, and beyond the envelope, there's no performance numbers because it's going to be diminishing return in some case, like with alpha. You start pulling past maximum alpha, and it's not always a good thing.
well, and like one of the things that people brought up with Banger, or I brought up, somebody brought up, when you're outside of the corner range of an aircraft and you're going fast enough that you can pull 10, 12 Gs, you're not getting a better rate or radius. You're arcing. So
Yeah,
you're trying. So, for example, I've told this story a lot, but when I came back from the desert and I was used to flying two-bag F-16, so targeting pod, bombs, the standard configuration we flew in combat. And I came back, and the one time I've over-G'd an F-16, we were doing a high-aspect butterfly set, and you know the deal, right? You're a good wingman, you want to be ready, and they're like, "Oh, just get the airspeed on the turnaway." Instead of saying I wasn't ready, I was like, I'll just get it on the turnaway. So I parked the thing in afterburner in a clean Block 30 big mouth,
ouch.
where I was used to internal clock going, well, if I park it in afterburner with 2 bags, it takes this amount of time to get this much speed. I started at like 280 knots, so I was like, there's no way, I'm more than 350, 400 by the time I hit this merge. I hit the merge at 1.1, and I tried to take it one circle. So I pulled straight through the limiter, and you look at the G meter, and it read 9.8 Gs,
Yeah.
and it wasn't because give it 9.8 didn't give me any. Dude, he was so far saddled up behind me, it became a 9K offensive set for him because he really was at 300 knots. So,
Yeah.
dude, I was just trying to stay awake. It's
Well,
uh oh. Uh oh.
uh-oh. What happened?
You froze it like the absolute worst.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back. We're back. Sorry, we're back. We're back. You froze it like you look like a.
No, I mean I've done the same thing, man. As a new guy, hit the merge with lots of speed,
Oh, okay.
blower, nose low, and I mean I was riding the G limiter all the way down the bottom, and uh, it ended very poorly,
Yeah,
very poorly.
and people are really upset about it. You're right. We don't have to do this. We could just say, mono e mono, guns only kill. First one to die loses. No matter how you die, doesn't matter. But people have complained about realism, especially in a lot of stuff that you and I have done in the
Right,
past. People have said they want to be realistic, and then they also the other part is, I the winner of this tournament is going to go fight Banger, or sorry, Falco, the AI. So I don't want to put somebody up against the AI, which is probably going to be a big event. That the reason they won was just because they pulled like a monkey and died last. I want somebody that's actually got some level of BFM skill, because the challenge has been that the sim community can do better than a real fighter pilot. Well, then you should be under the same constraints as you would in real life, and you're not going to go intentionally over G a jet. I mean, just
yeah. I mean, like you said, man. I mean, if you're gonna really make it a simulation, right? It's
yeah,
not like when I was a kid, I'd turn the shields on, unlimited ammo, and I would just dominate. It's fun, but if you're gonna try to make it a real simulation, I mean,
yeah.
um, it's one very easy thing you can do, and it is really, really unrealistic, especially like Tomcat pulling 10 Gs. That's well beyond the limitation of the airplane, and I mean, like with the, people always they're built to take more than that. Well, they are, but at the same time, I mean, the limit's the limit.
They're built to take more than that, like once or
Yeah,
twice. There are instances. Remember, I did the accident investigation report on the guy who G-locked, and he pulled like 10 or 12 Gs in the Eagle. Well, the
yeah.
thing didn't fall apart, but it became a Class C mishap because they had to go and pull panels and rebuild the wing structure of that aircraft. Just because you make it home doesn't mean that maintenance wasn't sitting there going, well, this dumb pilot, look, I've got to, rebuild the wing spar or do other panel inspections and stuff like that. It's not
Well,
fair.
yeah. Well, I mean, dude, after BFM, we do a battle damage check, right?
Yeah.
Because even flying the airplane within the G limitations, I mean, things fall off, right? Because
Yeah.
fatigue happens. You could certainly be in combat and pull 10 Gs and the wing not take it. It
Well,
comes off.
and then the reason the G limits are lower on Navy aircraft is because they have to wing fold and land on a boat, and that energy gets transferred through the wings when you hit the carrier, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's it's a
yeah,
shock to
yeah.
the aircraft. So, let's say you go and pull 12 Gs, and then you trap, and the wing breaks off and hits a guy or something. I mean, there's what other problems are you introducing to like I said, you're a test pilot.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would argue that anybody who's playing the simulation, if we put you at 10 Gs for any amount of time, you're it's going to be lights out
Lights out.
or enough pain to where you're going to have to release the stick. And then even if you don't, I mean, you're not going to see the guy you're fighting.
Yeah.
And I mean, good luck. Even at 8 Gs in the Hornet, 7.5, 8 Gs, I mean, man, the old cameras would start shutting down. So, you
Uh,
might be able to see them, but you don't know what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and I have. Let's caveat this. Neither you nor I would. I mean, we are not very good DCSers.
No, I'm terrible.
So, somebody brought that up as like, well, the Tomcat, it's hard, so to speak, because you have to look inside, right? They're like, oh, there's no HUD, or at least the HUD's like useless or whatever. You have to look at the G meter inside. Thursday, I was doing an ACM2 with the Raptor. Guess what I had to do?
I know. Yeah, you got to look at the G meter.
Yeah, I was nose low, 60 degrees nose low, pushing 400 knots in a one circle downhill fight with a Raptor, and I was looking at him, so I didn't hit a $300 million aircraft. I was looking at my airspeed because a T-38 nose low and burner. What do you think happens? And then I
Yeah,
was looking at my G meter because what happens when the airspeed rises, you're pointed downhill and you're still trying to tighten that turn circle.
yeah, G available.
And we have an artificial 6G limitation, right? That's not the aircraft can pull 7 or whatever, 7.5, but because it's a metal fatigue thing, right? After a while, you have to lower, and that's so people also ask why. Initially, it was 6.5, and then I went to 7.5, which ends up being an 8 because I'm actually being nice and giving people a half a G buffer.
Yeah.
The original Tomcat was released in NATOPS with a 7.5 G limit. After a while, when they were trying to make the damn thing last because they weren't building anymore, and probably because the A and B model guys were out there pulling 10 and 12 Gs, they they lowered the limit to 6.5, which the Navy, sorry Gonky, but the Navy doesn't have a very good reputation with G limits and stuff because I seem to remember some Block 30 Vipers that didn't last at all out in the desert. Do you know anything about those guys?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. They didn't make their life cycle on those jets, and now they're flying Block 15s.
Yeah. Well, I can't. I mean, there's no excuse for the F-16s, but all the carrier jets, they just. I'm surprised they last as long as they do. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the whole point of the limitation is not really a limitation. It's to try to make it more real for you guys,
Yeah.
which makes it more challenging. I mean, I watched last year the tournament. I fought Stooge, and he was it was I wasn't even remotely a challenge for him. So I mean, you guys are really good at
That's the
DCS.
thing is they should be able. I mean,
Right.
if you're good, you should be. I mean, it shouldn't be a problem. I mean, you
No.
already have like people are saying, well, you can't feel the G's, and I'm like, dude, I can't tell the difference between 7 and 8 in a real airplane. I really can't. I can,
Both hurt.
yeah, I can tell you 4 and 5 because that's when the G suit inflates a little bit, and then the G suit inflates a lot, and then after that, it's like I got to look at something to tell me, what, and it is valid. If I've got like a missile inbound and I didn't see it and I'm smoking at 600 knots and it's me or it, yeah, I'm gonna pull to the
Yep.
limits of the aircraft, but that's because I made a mistake. That is, I put myself in a bad position.
Yeah, that's the only time in my Navy training where it basically specifically said to pull max available G is if destruction of your airplane was imminent because of like a SAM,
Yeah,
it's in game on you, and it's like, well, if this thing's gonna come apart one way or another,
right.
might as well, like you said, like one time,
Yeah,
give me everything you got, and the wings stay bent up, but at least you didn't get hit by the SAM kind of thing. So that's the only time in our training we ever
yeah.
ever talked about or ever considered it at all, and that's understandable because I mean the airplane's about to be broke anyways.
Right. And a lot of guys are. Part of the genesis of this is I've observed in other channels and other DCS events, guys in the Hornet specifically riding around holding the paddle switch. And, you know, you're looking at it, and you're like, a 9.5 G turn.
Yeah.
And you talked about that on your video. It's not. I mean, dude, I don't think anybody ever told me to use the paddle switch for anything unless I was about to hit the ground.
No, and the almost all versions of the Hornet are 7.5G airplanes except the Swiss. They have a 9G, and I didn't know this until I started working for Boeing. But I always thought they just had different software that would let them get there. But the engineers said, no, it's a stronger wing. So I mean, it's not a fun. I mean, we're only talking, the difference between 7.5 and 9 is.
Because it doesn't fold, right? They don't have the wing fold. That's the difference.
I don't know. No, they said the structure is different inside
Okay.
the wing.
Yeah.
I mean, the engineers were like, hey, this thing's got to pull another, it's got to pull another G and a half. I mean, they modified the airplane, so it has
Oh,
a
okay.
different wing than all the other Hornets, at least that I know of in the world. So
So like Canadians, the Canadians have the same wing you guys have, or we had.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the Malaysians had the same wing because the wings would fold. Um, don't recommend you fold the wings if you don't have to, but yeah, I mean
They
I mean,
break. If you go 204, we had that problem where we never folded them, and then all of a sudden they're like, "We're gonna start checking the fold before you shut." No, they would break.
called exercising the wings, mover. It's before you go to the carrier.
Yeah, yeah, they started breaking.
Yeah, but I mean,
Blow,
guys,
blowing
that's
up.
that's the whole premise of the G limits. I mean, Mover's not just a mean guy, but he's just, how do we make it more real? And maybe there's some guys that are in DCS that are actually trying to fly the airplane like real fighter pilots do, and why allow other guys who are honoring that? Um,
Yeah, and that's the
take
thing. It's a competitive. If you're going to level the playing field, it's the so we're also enforcing neutral merges, and it's like because the other thing we saw last year where we had 5 mile sets, right? And you
Yep.
had they would always both dive to the floor, and then they would just be on the floor. Now we're like, look, it's a beam set, 3 to 5 miles. Turn in, fights on, neutral merge 3-9, and then you can fight. And that's how we train for a neutral setup.
Yeah.
It's not you know it's not meant to see whose pre-merge geometry is going to be best. Otherwise, we just run 20-mile intercepts and just
Yeah.
who sees the other person first. So it's just to make it fair, make it even. Obviously, it's not ever going to be fair with different aircraft, right? Because some aircraft have limitations. If you go fly the P-51 versus the Tomcat, you can.
You might do you.
It's an option.
Look, man, you don't have to tell me. I got a lot of heat on my flanker video from some very pro flanker
That's an
people who
option.
are,
Yeah.
what you did's not fair, this, that, and the other. I'm like, man, in training we try to make it as fair as possible. Mainly so for training objectives, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going out to try to learn how to be offensive, it sucks to start defensive.
Yeah. Well,
So,
repeatable, right? You want it to be, if you're doing stupid pet tricks, yeah, that's great. But the idea is to get the sight pictures and make it a repeatable thing and actually show that you can arrive at while I won't say you can't do it, I don't like the face shots. I think that it's lazy. It's you're not
did you
really.
practice them but not call them when you were a Viper guy?
No, you can't do it all. Hmm.
I mean, not. So we were always taught to take the shot, but don't call it and don't fish for it
With the gun?
because you could use the radar modes
With the
to.
with the gun?
Oh no, 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 no!
No, no,
Sorry,
I'm talking guns only. We're talking guns only, not. No,
sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, for the piccolo drill and stuff, as long as you weren't pure pursuit inside of 9,000 feet, you're fine. But if you're shooting somebody in the face with a gun, that will show up on your tapes, and that's a TR. You know, that's frowned upon if you want to stay flying as a fighter pilot.
At
You
some
know.
point, you have to point your nose at them.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I wouldn't do that with a gun. But, we don't train to that. It is a low probability of kill shot,
Yeah,
and it's high likelihood you'll run into the guy. So,
yeah, and just you touched on it in your video a little bit, but whoever wins this thing go fights the AI. I mean, that thing, that's what it's programmed to do, right? The quick
yeah,
kill, in the face. It doesn't have to, so to speak. It doesn't have to go home to mama. I mean, and what do we teach in the real fighter pilot world is basically lag BFM, which is just controlling, aspect and range and angle, stuff like that, um, which you're not going to see a lot of if you've got a drone out there that's programmed basically to point at you and shoot. I mean, I watched the video. That was my impression of it. I mean, is
oh,
that
I
pretty?
fought it. I fought it. I fought the
I
AI.
know.
I fought the AI. It does no BFM whatsoever. So it's
Yeah.
gonna. I can't wait because I'm hoping. I've talked to him about doing a video, but I kind of want to keep it I'm on the fence about whether I do an actual flying video with me against it, because I kind of want to let the winner show. They've already seen Banger. The results are not much different with me. I mean, we do what we're trained to do, and it does what it all it wants to do is it goes, hey, I need to put this 1 degree cone at 3,000 feet on that other aircraft, and it gets there. It doesn't care how it does it. It doesn't care, if there's any follow-on BFM. I will say that I went out with it, and because I was just trying to make sure we could even hook up, like it was, because it's the first time it ever tried from a different computer that was half a country away. We tried offensive setups, we tried defensive setups, we tried neutral merges where we started off 180 out, and I would set a single circle or a 2-circle flow, and it didn't matter what I did, it always arrived at the same position. So like there was a couple times, when you're fighting a student or whatever and you're doing like a 9K and you do your brake turn, you look over your shoulder and you just see nose. All you see is that guy's nose, and you're like, you better be really good with this gun or else your ass is mine, because that you're about to be offensive. And that's what it is. You get out of plane a little bit, it can't do anything about it, and then it's a reversal. The problem, though, is the thing can come up and over the top off the reversal, end up high aspect with you and shoot you in the face.
Yeah.
Like so, you're sitting there going, ha, gotcha. I just won. I have just taken myself from a 9K neutral or defensive position or a 6K, and we're high aspect. DLO, I've just won because I'm not defensive anymore, but you are. You are, because he's just putting the cone right on you, and
Well, there you go, man. So, I mean, dude, whoever wins, just know things gonna go pure pursuit, overshoot, go over the top, and shoot you in the face.
You can force overshoots fairly easily because it does not do any lag BFM whatsoever. The control zone doesn't exist. There's no control at all. It just wants to.
What airplane is
Viper? Yeah, so it's using. There's just a little bit of misnomer on this. It's using X-Plane 11 for the graphics, just to give you something in the cockpit, but the physics are what's called JSB sim, which is some physics that they agreed to. I mean, it flies like a real airplane. I mean, it's got realistic physics, and it behaves as you would expect. It's just the graphics are from X-Plane 11. So it's all housed on their server and stuff. You log in and it connects, and the reason they have to use X-Plane 11 is because their system has to control your X-Plane 11 to tell what to see, what you're looking at and stuff. When I did it, they didn't have. There's an aiming cone that you can see from your aircraft, which would have made it a lot easier. I didn't have that, so when the winner fights, they'll actually have the same cone that the AI has, so you'll see what you need to put your cone on, because I didn't have that, so I'm just fishing around with the nose like, hey, is that a hit? Nope. Is that a hit? Nope. Oh, you're dead. So when you're both pointing at each other trying to get the shot, because even when I was behind it, I didn't know, because it's not using the same targeting. You have to get within a degree on it as well. It's fun though. I mean, it's fun to see because it behaves in a way that's unlike anything you will ever see. It's not something you would expect.
Which is kind of good, because some of it sounds kind of valid, to be honest.
Yeah, but and I can't stress enough though that a lot of this tournament and AI, and the bigger picture thing, we're raising money for charity. I mean, that's what we're doing, is trying to have fun, trying to keep it a little realistic, trying to inject some, here's what we do in the real world. At the end of the day, we're raising money for charity and Folds of Honor, but also it's BFM, man. I used to have a IP that we used to go, who's the world's greatest BFMer? Well, it's the same as who's the world's greatest bowler. Nobody cares. I mean, it's not. It's
no. Raptor guys, they've got the little patch thing.
Great, but when you talk about what is valid in a tactical airspace or a
Yeah.
tactical situation, if you are going to the gun, things have gone very poorly for you.
Yeah. Well, dude, also, I mean, I would argue like there's some days you're just on, some days you're off. I mean, I've
Yeah.
beaten guys that I should not have beaten, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been beaten by students where I should not have been beaten. You know,
Yeah.
like 'cause,
It's
I
a
mean, we're all
it's an
we're here.
art. It's proficiency. I mean, it is good to train because it's obviously. I mean, it's why it's called basic fighter maneuvers, right? It gives you the building blocks to be able to know how to position your aircraft, and it
Yep.
gives you some survival skills. And a lot of part translates where like a defensive break turn and stuff. It gets you back in that position where you can employ the weapons and stuff. But the odds of you getting in a position where you're no kidding gun v gun, both of you are gun v gun. I mean, we're talking World War III level. I mean, it's just you two left. You might as well pull out your 9 mil and start popping off rounds through the canopy.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, with all the other weapons they have nowadays, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think in a tournament for charity,
Yeah.
uh, neutral starts, trying to make, you know, DCS is trying to be a simulation. So why not simulate the actual airplanes as close as possible that we can? The G limit thing is something really easy, and it's very very obvious to anybody who's ever flown airplanes. I would say in general, um, that should probably be taken into account. But like you said, man, at the end of the day, I mean,
It's charity.
it's all for charity, and
Yeah.
it really is an awesome
Well,
charity.
and I will point out too that it behooves the community to make this work. You know, esports are a thing, and you know, giving validity to this as an esport will benefit the community in that it will get more attention, which leads to legitimizing what they're doing instead of being kind of a niche kind of simulator group. I mean, now you're talking like Overwatch and other esports that have gone in bigger and better things. So when people say, well, I don't like the rules, so I'll just I'll quit, it's like, well, low participation signals that there's not a lot of interest in this community, and I think there is. And I think
Yeah.
I really think that people need to realize that this could be an esport. This could be something that you turn on your TV one day and it's like, oh, it's the dogfighting tournament, whatever, not just for charity, just in general. So I mean, it's great, obviously, that we're doing this for charity, and I think we'll do this yearly. And in fact, I'm even talking to A10 Bubba about setting up a hog smoke where we do bomb dropping competitions for folds. I think that'll be pretty cool too. But just the premise of making it an esport and what the guys over at Satal and Moltar and stuff are doing, this is how you get that recognition. This is how you legitimize what you're doing. And when you pick up your toys and go home, then I'll tell you, real fighter pilots will go, well, I don't want to deal with this. Why? I don't want to deal with this community. And all the good that can come from this and working and trying to make it more realistic and better just goes by the wayside because people are too stubborn and want to have God mode in their F-14 or whatever. They don't want to adapt.
Well, it's I understand, man. It's a pride thing,
Yeah.
and it's easy to be in the aviation community in general. I think whether you're online or in the real world, there's a lot of ego out there, and nobody likes to be told, told what they're doing is not right. But I 100% agree with what you're saying. You're basically legitimizing, what's going on, and I mean, I hate to say it, but the AI thing and the whole how do we integrate people with that? I think that really is going to be a big part of the future. I don't know where exactly it's going to go, but you know, this
I,
kind of stuff, like people versus AI. That's just these are the baby steps and kind of figuring that out, right?
yeah. I think you'll see the AI integrated into bigger systems. Like it'll become like HAL and
Yeah.
or Jarvis. It'll be Jarvis for the F-35 someday. It'll integrate and be like, "Are you sure you want to, pull straight to lead?" And it'll tell you how to get to the control zone. Like it'll tell you how to get there, even though it doesn't want to. You
It'll
know,
be like flying an ILS, right? You just
yeah,
keep
it's
the
magic carpet, man. It's just
just
like
follow
just
the flight director around.
just follow the magenta line. You'll be fine. But didn't we have a Q&A? Are people still watching us? Weren't we supposed to take audience questions?
All right, well, we've been going here about 35 minutes. All right, we got it. All right, so hopefully that answers
Sorry, I hijacked you. I apologize.
the whole G limit thing. I'll go here kind of the top. Again, thanks for guys for putting up with my internet. I don't know. I'm not a
Dial
tech guy.
up, dude. Eventually, super chat. Listen, use the super chat so Gonky can afford real internet.
I'm gonna have to do a tutorial on Super Chat. Let's see here. Let's see. We've got everybody making fun of my internet, which is cool.
And valid.
Yeah, I did misspell mover. That's cool.
Also valid.
Let's see
Don't
here. I
do
know
that
I saw
again.
some questions in here.
1-0.
1-0, that's right. All right, we've got some Tomcat love.
Tomcats.
All right, Angle of Attack wants to know F-16. Does it have is it 8.5 Gs with two empty tanks?
Yeah, because that used to be the thing when I do incentive rides. Um, Technically, you really couldn't get a 9G pin if we had two-bag jet because with the tanks on, it can only go up to 8.5.
What about the was it like the Hornet? Would it affect the roll rate? I mean, other than the fact that there's like physically weight out there.
I mean, you get drag, but as far as the jet doesn't know. I mean, the jet doesn't change anything based on the stores. You have to do it. The only thing you had was Cat 1 or Cat 3 and the limiter, which would change some stuff.
Oh, that's what you guys had on the G Limiter is Cat 1 and 2. That's how you referenced it?
Cat 1 and 3, yeah. You were a Cat 3 jet when you were bombs and targeting pod and stuff. There were different configurations that would drive, whether it was Cat 1. Some dudes never put the switch in Cat 3, which is a technique. I mean, it's valid. I did because I didn't want to over G stuff, and because it changes how much AOA it would give you, because it's a G command then an AOA command system, so
Yep.
it would change the AOA rates and stuff.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, if you in the Air Force, if you over G'd, what was the penalty?
Ooh, depending on the level, usually some level of case of beer or an alcoholic beverage or
Who would the beer go to?
maintainers, the crew chief.
Okay. Same.
Yeah. Sometimes you'd be out there with them pulling panels.
Yeah.
Like
Okay. Same.
that's a legitimate thing, and the only reason mine ended up not being an over G is because we went back and looked at the tapes, and it needed to be, I think, 20 frames, and I was like at 18.
Nice.
So on a technicality, I did not over G the jet, even though I can say I pulled 9.8 Gs.
Well, I've done it a couple times, and it cost me several cases of beer.
Yeah.
So I learn very quickly when it starts costing me money and time.
Well, and that's a good thing to bring up too, is a lot of people don't know that a Hornet over G is not an over G by the G meter. It's by whether it trips the code.
That's correct. That's correct. That's why sometimes they'll let you have more.
Yeah, which DCS, I don't think DCS replicates MSP codes.
Thankfully.
I think it does, but they don't make any sense. Like I flipped through the page, I'm like, why do I have this on start? This is
811, man. That was the over G.
what was
811.
812 was the landed too hard one on the boat.
904. So if you were at the
904.
ship, dude, the perfecta was the over G and the brake and the hard landing on the ship.
811, 904, and a taxi one wire.
That's right, dude. Just perfect. That's happened to guys. I've seen it.
Yeah.
So, all right, dude. Let's see. Franz asks, have either of you guys seen someone come up with something actually new in tactics? Have all the general variables been beat to death already? Well, in BFM, I think that basically the main tactic's the same, right? Get behind the guy and shoot him.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that in the Hornet just because I've taken Like you'll surprise a guy if you don't do the standard game plan. Like I went out defensive and then did because I didn't know, and I just did the Viper game plan, which is different than the Hornet game plan. But the Viper game plan works better in the Hornet because the Hornet's
That's
got alpha. Oh, dude, I flew with Jackal one time and I ended up offensive on a defensive set because he just didn't know. Like he just the sight picture just did not work, and he's like, how,
yeah.
and it's
I know
just
why that happened.
it's a stupid pet trick.
I know why that happened because he was thinking schoolhouse set. You guys are just out doing a good deal set. Um, yeah, we had a Marine Corps Colonel XO do that, and my buddy was the IP, and the students there played, and he's like, I don't even know what was happening out there. He's like, I looked where he should have been because everything is kid, and he wasn't there. He's peppering us with bullets.
Yeah,
So,
and that is a fundamental difference. I did that with Borat one time, and he sat down and he's like, in the Navy, BFM is a cooperative drill, and I'm like, no, never cooperate, never surrender, never give
yeah,
up. If I'm
yeah.
defensive and I end up high aspect, I've won. I don't care about your cooperation.
Yeah, just a little miscommunication. Let's see. Alan says if DCS can't reflect the long-term damage outside of one round, I think it's absolutely right to restrict it. I didn't know that, actually, DCS.
And DCS, I mean, honestly, from what I understand from DCS, never actually seen it. But it doesn't even really do the max G that well either. Like if you go pull 12 Gs, whether or not it's a catastrophic failure, like it doesn't like give you a partial, like a wing bent or something. Like it's either a catastrophic failure or nothing. From what I understand, I've never actually seen it. I have tried to go fly the Tomcat. I pulled 10 Gs in the Tomcat a whole bunch of times because I suck, and nothing's happened. But I don't know at what limit the thing will just break apart. I mean,
Yeah, I don't want to know, to be honest.
in
We had a
DCS.
guy in my sister's squadron. He was strafing at night in Afghanistan. He almost hit a mountain. I don't know, he pulled like 13 Gs or something like that. It didn't break the airplane for him, but
Yeah.
that airplane was down.
Yeah.
Michael, do you have any idea what your blood pressure is at 7 to 8 Gs? What about your pulse? I don't know. My eyelids are shut. Dude,
Now your eyes are wide open. You just can't see anything.
that's true. I just stopped fighting.
Yeah.
I have no idea, man. What?
High. It's high. I mean, whatever it is, I mean, high.
Yeah, because your body's trying to keep blood in your head, and it's not happening. So, let's see. Sauce Boss, did you guys have to deal with air sickness during your training? I hear the T6 is hell. Ask Mover if you ever went to the chair. We both went to the chair. Mover, how was the T6?
I did not have problems. There were people in my class that did, and they took ginger root extract. No shit. They would pop the little ginger pills, and they cured themselves. The thing about getting sick, and I did a video on this like 2 years ago, is if you get sick a couple times, it's fine. If you get sick more than that, they consider that manifestation of apprehension. So they're saying it's basically your nerves and you're not really getting over it. So they'll spin you in the chair, and if they still can't get you over it, they'll spin you some more, and if they still can't get you over it, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was lucky. I never had
Yeah.
any issues with it, which is good because
Yeah.
I had friends that didn't. It didn't look pleasant.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of control and keeping the horizon relative, like understanding where the horizon is so you don't start tumbling.
Yep. Lance says there's no such thing as a fair fight. Oh, there's no such thing as fair in a gunfight. That's true. But in a tournament where we just want to start out neutral, give everybody the best chance at winning. That's what we're gonna do. Brian wants to hear the IROC story. That's for another video.
What's the IROC story? I want to hear this IROC story too.
You have to wait on the video.
Is this a plant in the audience that's asking these questions? Somebody that actually knows you?
Ryan Bolter? I don't know, man. I do have an IROC, and there is a story. All right. Lucas, would you rather be an F-35 than an F-18 in real combat situation? I know. For,
Sorry.
I know for
It's
me
funny
it
for an inside joke. Sorry.
I know for me it depends. If there's super high threat, day one, we don't own nothing. I probably want to be an F-35. But if I'm like supporting guys on the ground, I need a lot of bullets. I need to do some real close air support. I'd probably want to be in a Hornet. Better yet, an A-10. But Mover, how about you?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. 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 I'll agree with that. Okay.
Let's see, Gilbert, Mover, any advice for CFIT heading that way in 2 weeks?
Control flight in a terrain.
That's the CFET. That's the spin and puke, isn't it? Centrifuge training.
Oh, 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 oh.
You know it, Gilbert.
Yeah, dude. Hydrate,
Oh yeah.
hydrate for sure. Um, God. Oh, here's the one.
Pray to God.
I don't know if I should tell this one. This is advice T Bear once gave me. Right. It applies for both the altitude chamber and this. You know how in the chamber, and they'll do this in the fuge too, they want you to push yourself to the limit to see what your limits are. So like in the fuge, they will make you not wear the G suit and not strain, and then they're like, oh, here's your resting tolerance for G's.
Yep.
And in the chamber, they'll make you go all the way to hypoxia and then put your mask on and stuff.
Yep.
You don't get any points for being the highest G tolerance guy or the longest hypoxic guy. So keep that in mind. You don't win by making it prolong, and I'm just saying, don't make it harder than it needs to be.
Yeah. Don't make it hard on yourself. Like
No, that is no.
that's that's good advice.
Don't G lock yourself trying to prove to yourself how good you are without a G strain, because your resting tolerance is irrelevant. It changes every day, no matter what you do. Some days you're a 9G guy, some days you're a 7.5. It changes.
Well, let's be honest. Mover and I both personally know somebody who's not flying a great
Oh, I hope he's not watching. Oh, I kind of hope he is though.
because that particular individual could not get through the profile.
It's true.
So,
It's true with the A tags.
yeah. So, I'm not saying I could, but what I'm
I,
saying
I
is,
you could.
well, but what I'm saying is like test your resting. Like, there's no point in being here. There's no points for first place.
Yeah. Look. The thing is, it sucks, but you got to get through it. So do all the techniques that they tell you. Make sure you're on your G strain. Don't push yourself to G lock. Don't allow yourself, because that happened to me. My fuge day. The Viper's a 9G profile and it sucks. It's back before A tags and stuff, and it sucked. And they sent me straight from SEER, which is survival school, to Alamogordo, New Mexico to do the fuge with no break in between. I had just lost 17 pounds from being at SEER. So it took me 2 days to get through it, but I didn't G-lock. I knew my limit, and I was like, nope, I'm about to. Nope. It's knowing your limit does better for you than actually letting yourself G-lock in that training.
Don't be a hero.
No, no, don't be a hero. And that applies everywhere. If you get to the point where the lights are going out and you pull any more, you're going to G-lock. Stop pulling.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Mashi, I think. What are the safety margins engineered into Max G? When you say Max G, are they giving you the break point or the safety margin? They're giving you the Max G for the design life limit of the airplane. So they call it base. So at least the Hornet, it would measure every time you hit 7.5 Gs, and they engineer this thing to last so many hits, if you will. So as far as what's over that, I think I know in the Navy manual, it'll give you at least another 33% if you pull the paddle switch, but beyond that, it's probably who knows.
Yeah, it's probably like a 1.2 or something. I mean, every jet's got that safety. I mean, that's how they build it, right? They build the safety margin, then they back it off. But it's like you were saying, and this is happening with those Australian Hornets, where they're all due for the center barrel mod because, you only have so much life on a airframe, and then you have to replace the center barrel. You have to replace key structural parts, and it's not cheap.
No, dude. No, not at all. Um, I'm sure we get an engineer on here to just completely nerd out on
Oh.
that.
Well, I mean, look at the Brokeback Eagle stuff. They were having center barrel problems, and the thing would break in half. And they were limited for a long time.
When I left active duty in 2012, we had two Hornets at the RAG or the B course that were 4G limited because they had
My
so
kind of jet. Yeah, my kind of jet right there.
the only thing we could do with it was non-tactical. We couldn't even do a G1. So,
Perfect.
yeah, so everything worked great in it. That was weird.
Yeah.
Let's see. So if AI is willing to shoot face first, why would you make it a rule not to? Wouldn't you want someone who could win that way to face the AI? My understanding, Mover, is when you fight AI, there is no rules, right? You just try to beat them, right?
Yeah, and that rule is only for you can. There is no rule you can't shoot him in the face in this tournament. You absolutely can. It's the first merge. There's no. So
Oh,
we start off a beam, we turn in fights on, 3-9 passages essentially fights on, and then it's full
yeah,
up after that. You can come around for the second merge and shoot him right in the face. I don't care.
yeah. All right, there you go.
It's just to set up the fight so that no one's at an advantage or disadvantage.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, Flying memorials. I wouldn't touch Fat Amy, and now I'm all about BBWs. That's pretty funny. Sorry, I had to read that. Oh, it's for you, Mover. Let's see. Okay, do you think the F-18 is realistic in DCS? That's a tough one. The visuals are very, very realistic. At least the visuals out to about, I don't know, a quarter mile. Then past that, you can't see everything you need to see, in my opinion. Maybe it's just the system I was on. I wasn't
Yeah,
on
it,
my.
it varies. It varies based on what kind of equipment you have. But I mean, I agree with in general, the visual cues you'd get in real life don't exist.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, it's part of the realism in flying any of these airplanes is sitting in the cockpit with all the buttons where they need to be because when they design an airplane, they design it with the pilot to machine interface, and that's part of the experience. So it's kind of hard to say how realistic it is. It's not realistic, other than the visuals, which are really awesome. Gonky I was VT22 when I was a student. I was never an IP there. Um, what? Let's see. What is okay? RAG means placement air group, right? It's basically the schoolhouse for the
Yeah, it's like a B course. Yeah,
Yeah, B course is basic course, right? You teaching the basic stuff.
yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, replacement air group. Thanks, Larry. uh, okay, Mover. Which MDS do you think is the best overall at BFM?
Oh God, it's got to be the Raptor.
Yeah, I think
Well,
so.
wait. We talking winning or like skill? Like which pilots are the best or which airframe is the best? Because I think
Just airplane, dude.
yeah, then it's a Raptor.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
don't think there's any doubt whatsoever. That thing can, yeah.
No,
I think it's painful for them when they fight us and we're trying to set presentations and like
that's true.
I think it hurts them
It hurts
mentally,
me.
physically. Yeah, mentally and physically. I think it hurts them to be that bad.
What is the most overrated fighter? That's a good question.
I know your answer.
No, you don't, dude. What's your answer, River?
The most overrated fighter.
Yeah.
God. What is that? 104-0? What's the what's the thing?
Oh. The Eagle.
Yeah. Um, No, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
what do you think the most overrated fighter is?
Honest to God, now you said
Obese Amelia?
Fat Amy. Well, dude, this
What's
it's
that?
too it's too new. I mean, it may end up being an exceptional fighter. I don't.
Dude, I don't think it's overrated, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. Just if I had to pick one, I'd say the F-15, mainly just to poke fun at F-15 guys. But I would love to have flown the F-15.
Yeah, absolutely, but still.
Let's see here. Haven't heard. I did Tomcats. There it is.
Tomcats. I've said it like 5 times.
Right, man. Let's see. Let me understand some of these. Let's see. Gonky, you have seen flanker pull the cobra during your BFM or fight. Yeah, it's actually in there. He does the cobra backflip, whatever it is, turns around on a dime and comes right back at me. It was very, very impressive. I saw it in that fight, and I saw it with guys that actually beat me. Um, these people that say it's just an air show maneuver, I don't think they're giving it as much credit as they need to. Mover, if you could fly any plane, what would it be? Don't you dare say it.
Say what?
Go ahead. Go on with your answer.
Tomcats.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, dude. Sure, me
Or
too.
Fat Amy.
Oh, God. All right, let's see here.
Honestly, it'd probably be the A10, man. That's kind of my unicorn. I've been chasing Moby. It's my Moby Dick.
A10, yeah,
I've
dude.
been
Honestly,
chasing that thing since I was a kid.
I mean, I've never, I've never shot down anybody, but I've been up there painting some Iranian F4s and stuff, which was cool. Doing a little bit of air-to-air chess game with those guys, which was fun. But I think the most satisfying thing that I ever got to do as a Hornet guy was support troops on the ground, and like I can't imagine having a specific built airplane that's just awesome at that. Doing
Yeah.
that, I mean, it would be. I think the job satisfaction would be through the roof.
Yeah. I mean, and then the F-22 too would be awesome when it works. The frustration factor would be pretty high, though. I'd get tired of stepping to spares after a while. Get all my steps in every day I go fly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. Mover, have you ever had any bird strikes when flying down low?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Got a video about it. It's really cool.
I do. I in the mighty T-38, I lost an engine on takeoff at rotation as a solo student. That was a lot of fun. One time, my most embarrassing flyby, I say this because it was so pathetic. It was Dover. My wingman broke on the way into Dover, so it was just me. Dude, there's nothing less cool than a single jet NASCAR flyby. Okay? We were scheduled for 4. We only got 2 on the cross country, and then I did the flyby. And the singer was very fast, so I sped up to match her pacing, which means, do you know what a Viper looks like at 400 knots for a flyby? Yeah. So I came back around to go back to the field, and I schwacked a bird, just right off the canopy, which grounded the jet. We got stuck in Dover for it was the end of the fiscal year, so they couldn't send any maintainers to come get us or fix either jet, so we got stuck in Dover for over a week and a half.
Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, I've hit many birds actually.
Yeah.
I can't. My first flight in the Super Hornet, I killed an entire generation of sparrows on takeoff.
You bastard!
I know, dude. There were little red dots all over that thing. All right, let's see here, guys. We got about another minute left here, then we'll start to wrap it up. Mover, what was your favorite duty station?
I don't know. Dude, I love New Orleans, man. I mean, I didn't like the drive so much, but it's hometown. Being able to go do the city tour over the Superdome and, come up initial carrier break. Nobody would tell you anything. Nobody really, we're kind of out there on our own. We could fight the Eagles. We could go cross country and stuff. New Orleans was a pretty good. other than that, Homestead would be not living there, but actually being based there, because Homestead had overwater airspace. Same thing where controllers were cool. We knew them. We were first name basis with them. We get whatever we wanted. No one else, no other civilian traffic in the area. Just awesome airspace.
Yeah, yeah, cowboy country. All right, remember, we'll do one more question. Cal, what's your best BFM story? Go ahead, man. Just wow us.
Well,
I'll
best
do
B,
mine afterwards. You go
best
first.
you go first. I gotta think.
I guess my best BFM story isn't as it's the best to me because I went up against a hawk, a Malaysian hawk, which is basically like a T-45, and I was in the Hornet, and I thought I was just gonna, I mean, like no chance. And this thing had the hawk had two tanks on it, and my Hornet had two tanks on it, and I told my Wizzo at the time, dude, I'm not even going to use Afterburner because we're just going to crush him. And he was adamant. This is in Malaysia. He was adamant, like, Gonky, we cannot lose. I'm like, dude. He was like, Gonky, we cannot lose. We cannot. I'm like, okay, dude, you're starting to freak me out. So we go out and we have a neutral start, just like we've been talking about. We both pitch in. And I told my Wiz, I was like, all right, man, I'll tap the blower here a little bit because I'm going to go straight up. So I went straight up, and I flew the T-45 in the Navy. And that thing, the one that we had in the Navy, was a little heavier, but we never carried two tanks. And we had a saying in the T-45, go up, blow up, because that thing it was terrible, no afterburner. And as I'm going through 90 degrees straight up, I look straight across the circle, and there he is. I mean, he is matching me. Like, it was like, does he have a burner on that thing? Is it specially modified? I mean, it completely crumpled my game plan. And we met at the top. We were both slow speed because we were, as you know, two tanks on a Hornet. She gets a little piggish. And thankfully, thankfully, he just barely made it, and he fell off immediately right there. Which from that point, I was like, I got my legs back under me, and I was able to to win. But I thought, oh my god, like
I'm gonna get fired.
Get fired, dude. So I found out that he was their best guy. He was actually their air show guy. He was really good at flying that thing right at the edge of the performance envelope. So just I fought flankers over there, MiG-29s, Raptors, F-15s, but like it's just this little hawk with two tanks that almost just that sticks out of my mind as the coolest fight I ever had. I thought it was awesome, man. The guy was brilliant.
the only one, I mean, so I did have the double Immelman thing with the Canadian Hornets, and I just remember in the Block 30, dude, we did the double Immelman coming back up, and he's falling off, and I'm just like rocket ship to the moon, and he comes over Aux going, oh, he's just because he can't believe that I'm still going. But no, the best one, I think, my very first dissimilar BFM in the Viper. So I was a young lieutenant, and I didn't, I thought I was going to get my ass kicked because I didn't know anything about, I was brand new. And they told me I was going to fight a Super Hornet, a clean Super Hornet with a guy who's training to go to Top Gun. And I didn't know anything about Top Gun except the movies. And I knew that for the Air Force side, if they were getting spun up to go to weapons school, that they were really good. They were already really good. So I was like, oh God, I'm nervous. So we meet out in the airspace, and he's in this giant, like, I get visual like at 12 miles out, because I'm used to looking at the Viper, and I'm like, God damn, that's a big airplane. Holy crap. So we set it up, and it is kind of the if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying thing, because in the Air Force, we don't have neutral setups at the turnaway. So it's like, we check away, and I'm like down, I'm doing the DCS thing. And we come to the merge, and I come low to high, just like everything I'd been trained, and he goes high too. And he goes 2-circle uphill. And dude, by the time we're like within 180 degrees of turn, I'm like Fox 2, but I don't call it because I don't want to stop this fight. We get up to like 24,000 feet, and dude, I'm saddled. I'm just completely saddled. And then there's a Wizzo in the back, and I can see him, and I'm like saddled up going, Tell him to jink. Tell him, what are you doing back there, dude? You guys should be jinking by now. And I'm just unloading on this guy, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing of my whole like, dude, I just kicked the Top Gun guy's ass. Little did I know, I mean, it doesn't really mean anything, but it was just like my favorite moment ever. And then I learned the whole go up to blow up thing in the Hornet, because I tell people that story, and they're like, why did he go two-circle up?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it was right where I wanted to be. I mean, it did everything. I'm gonna slicked off Block 30 with 30,000 pounds of thrust. You do whatever you want, man. I got 9Gs all day long. Send it.
Yeah, you got to know. I mean, don't get in a G fight with an F-16.
He wouldn't do after that fight, dude. You could hear him on the radio. Next set will be a beam set 3,000. Like he would not do another butterfly set. We had to do the he's like briefing on the radio. Okay, the next one will be right at 3,000 feet. I'll call 3-2-1, fights on. I'm like, why am I so okay? No, this is not a Viper thing.
I was briefing you.
Yeah.
He was busy up there flying. So, well, hey man, that's a good story. I love stories where Top Gun guys get beat.
I don't know if he ever went. I mean, that may have been the catalyst that said, nope, you're not ready. They watched his tapes. They're like,
no chance.
Yeah.
Well, hey everybody, thanks a lot tonight for putting up with some shoddy internet and us being late. I promise to get better. And Mover, thank you for coming on, dude. And basically making it happen tonight. I hope everybody signs up for the tournament because, like I said, it is an awesome cause. And I think if everybody had the chance to spend like 5 minutes with Noonan, I mean, he's a small man in stature, but man, when he speaks, it's pretty amazing. He makes me feel like an idiot. But yeah, the stuff he's doing just for regular people out there is amazing. So sign up, have some fun with it. And you never know, you might get to go fight AI. And if you win, that would be awesome.
Dude, I mean, real fighter pilots have lost to this thing, and you would go out and be the DCS player that beat the
That's
AI.
right.
They would probably hire you. It'd probably be a job or something. I mean, they'd probably be like, show it. This is like a Doug Masters story.
No pressure, but this is actually a job interview.
Yeah, no pressure, but come on, man. You get this done. We don't promise anything. Disclaimer, void where prohibited. Not available in Canada, US, or whatever, Mexico.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, hey, hope everybody has a good night. Movers, stay safe there because I think you're in more of the track than I am. And till next time, everybody, have a good night.